Hi, everyone. So this morning, I want to tell you a little bit for our children's sermon for June 14th. I wanted to ask you, how many of you have ever written a letter? Now, for you grown-ups out there, chances are most of you have written letters or sent cards or done something along those lines. But for the kids out there that are watching today, how many of you have written a letter? Letters are really important. If you've ever gotten a card or a letter in the mail, you know how special that makes you feel. When you go to the mailbox and there's something there with your name on it, that's pretty special, right? Well, in the early church, Paul, who was one of the people that he would go around to different places and he helped people to start churches. And then he would write letters. When he couldn't be there and things were going on, he would write letters and he would give them encouragement, he would give them advice. He would help them try to be the best disciples that they could be and to live together well. Okay? And so the reading that I'm going to preach on tomorrow is actually called the book of Romans. And so this talks about Paul's letters. I'm going to read you a little piece from the Spark Bible. It talks about the book of Romans and what the book of Romans was all about. Okay? So if you have your Spark Bible and you want to pause the video, you can. But I'm going to read it to you. It starts on page 540. Paul's letters. Paul's job as an apostle was to tell the story of Jesus to everyone he met. He traveled all over his part of the world and started many churches with people who believed in Jesus. When Paul could not travel to visit his friends in Rome, he wrote them a letter to share God's love. Dear Christians in Rome, there are 3 things I tell people who have never heard of Jesus or God. Jesus was human like us, and God, both at the same time. 2, Jesus came so people in the world would know how much God loves us. 3, believing in Jesus and knowing God's love changes your life. Everyone should know this good news. Are you telling people this good news too? The peace of God be with you. Signed, Paul. And Paul wrote lots of letters. Romans is just one of them, but when Paul would write letters, again, he would tell people that God loved them and he would help them to think about how God wanted them to live. So what I want you to do today, if you've never written a letter before, or even if you've written a bunch of them before, I want you to find a piece of paper and I want you to think about somebody in your mind that you haven't talked to in a while, that you know might need a little something to brighten their day, or maybe you want to just remind them that God loves them and so do you. So I want you to find that piece of paper. It can have lines on it. It can be a blank piece of paper. And if you need a little help, kids, you can always ask one of the grown-ups in your house to help you write your letter. Or you can even just draw a picture, and that's okay too. But think about someone that you want to send that letter to. You can write it, put an address, put a stamp on it, put it in the mail, have mom or dad help you. And you can remind someone how much God loves them. Okay? And then maybe you can even put in your letter for them to write one back to you. And you can start writing letters, and you can understand the joy of getting that thing in the mailbox. When you go out there and it has your name printed right on it, it's exciting. And somebody else will feel that same way when they get a letter from you. So telling people about Jesus happens in a lot of different ways. We can do it in letters. Paul did it in letters and in person all the time. So today, write that letter, send it out in the mail, and you can tell somebody how much you love them and how much God loves them too. Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon.